year, our next guest brought us the first ever emission-free book tour, driving across cities in a Tesla. So what will he have in store next year? Joining us now is Gianni Kovacevic, author of My Electrician Drives a Porsche. He's also the CEO of CopperBank. Gianni, good to have you back in studio.
Yeah, great to be in New York.
Excited to hear about your plans. What's your take on electric cars in 2017? What can we expect? What role can you foresee of technology in the new year?
Well, the buzzword now is Trumponomics. How will this impact renewable energy, electric cars, and the entire space? And I think increasingly it's going to be consumer-led. You can adjust policy, but I always tell people assets that are deemed uneconomic are assets that will be stranded. So we see that electrical generation in the United States used to be derived over 50% from coal, less than 30% today. So who are you going to sell the thermal coal to? You know? So policy is going to, you can adjust things, but increasingly all of this stuff, this technology,
right,
because increasingly big oil, big auto, big insurance, they are increasingly subordinate to big tech and everything that is surrounded with that.
So do you think a Trump presidency is supportive of this?
I think the Trump presidency is going to be interesting for the economy.
Okay.
And so with that will come investment, infrastructure investment, and that's going to be typically concrete and steel and stuff like that. But it will be generally, I think, very good for investors.
All right, you're the CEO of CopperBank, so let's talk about copper because it's really actually been outperforming gold post-election. Could it be the star here?
It was really a short covering rally. The market was very short, and so we've had some disproportionate benefit. But longer term, I've been telling people that oil, in effect, is energy. Energy without the use of fossil fuels is electricity, and electricity requires copper. Not 10 or 20% more. These greener and cleaner forms of creating, transferring, and utilizing energy, 300, 400, 500% more copper. Should it not decouple from the other commodities? And where does it come from? Saudi Arabia produces 11.5 million barrels of oil from 3,000 wells. United States, 8.5 million barrels now, 500,000 wells. This shale oil renaissance this is transformative. Once in three generations does something like that happen.
So you're bullish copper in 2017?
And longer, because where does the copper come from? About 50% of primary copper production comes from 21, 22 copper mines. Big difference.
What's your gold outlook?
I agree with Jim Rickards that gold is money. It's a currency. And people that allocate large pools of capital will choose various currencies, including gold. It has taken typically around 400 pounds of copper to buy an ounce of gold. 15 to 25 barrels of oil to buy an ounce of gold. That's the old rule book. This will entirely decouple because of all the factors, not the least of which is the economy, the different supply and demand fundamentals, the crises that always hit the world every 10 or 15 years. But copper should have a disproportionate benefit, in my opinion, against the entire commodity complex.
And last time we spoke, you mentioned you were eyeing some mining companies. Who are you liking?
Yeah, we talked about gold, and you asked me who do I like in the gold space, and I said, well, there's a company that's interesting, and I'll let you know next time. That company is Lumina Gold. Ross Beatty has very quietly acquired a series of projects that have established resources in Ecuador. We've also seen what Lucas Lundin and that family has done with Lundin Gold. So if you look at that area in that bottom east corner of Ecuador, you've got 25 million ounces of gold in this area. You see governmental policy changing. All of a sudden, why is Ross Beatty in Ecuador? Why is Lucas Lundin in Ecuador? I think it's interesting.
Well, you're an investor, for full disclosure here?
Absolutely. So with me, the company that I think is interesting is Lumina Gold, and not the least of which is this strategy, what Ross did with Lumina Copper. It seems to me that this could be coming, something that they're going to put a lot of elbow grease into.
Gianni, this year you did a tour with your Tesla, I guess, to promote your new book at the time. What are some big plans you have in store for 2017? What can we expect from you?
I got lots of traveling. We're doing a ton of paid speaking engagements. So with the tour, the experience, where I keep telling people, the future is now. Most consumers don't recognize that this stuff works. Now, I tax the system. I went from Boston to California, back to Vancouver. It's not an issue. The offering for general consumers is going to surprise most people as we go through the Trump presidency, this 4 years. By the time we get to 2020, it's going to be an incredible tectonic shift in the electrification of transportation.
Gianni, thanks so much for stopping by the studio.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And thank you for watching. We'll have more Outlook coverage for you, so be sure to stay tuned.